You have the agenda in front of you. Does anybody have any additions to the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a change. Dave Majewski,
Yeah.
yeah, is not able to be with us tonight, so he has the date for our next meeting and hopefully he won't be working then.
Okay.
Because the next meeting is in
January
It's in January because this one was moved back from October.
Right, yeah. Are they always going to be here at the police conference?
Yes.
At
I
at
mean,
this
I'm
point,
assuming,
yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Um,
Yeah.
So, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. And now we need the approval of the minutes from, my gosh, July 26th.
When I saw that today, I said,
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it
But it
is.
wasn't.
Yeah, I had to reorient myself because it's been a while. That was a lot of minutes.
I must have had a lot to say in that meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll entertain a motion to accept them when you're ready.
Oh, you can't do it, can you?
I don't think so. I do have one question about the agenda. It says the next meeting is January 31st. That doesn't.
Doesn't sound right.
Sound
If you could give Kim a call in the morning,
Sure.
she's the one that would know that for
Yeah,
sure.
I think I have it. We're different. Yeah, and I just gave it to Dave, the fire chief. That's why I know that I have it for the 24th.
I'll let Kim know.
January?
I'll let Kim know in the morning and have her direct.
Oh, okay, thank you. I just wondered if maybe there was a change for some reason.
That's doubtful.
Huh?
It's doubtful. like
It's
you said,
doubtful, yeah.
usually.
Yeah, I think she was trying to get this together today after the holiday, you know.
Mhm.
Well, it's not New Year's Eve, though.
No, no,
January
no.
31st.
That's right.
It's
my
January.
bad.
January.
Oh, no, no, I know that.
Pushing it.
No, I threw that out there.
No, I wasn't worried about that.
Yeah.
I would have known that was wrong. Although it could be a fun meeting.
I move that we approve it unless anybody has any other things.
Second, please.
Thank you. Your report, Furio?
So year to date, 315 violations have been filed. Presently, there's 15 vacant properties that are not on the market, being rented or sold. 12 additional vacant properties with building permits that have been previously issued and are under renovations in some stage. And there are 3 properties that are boarded. 10 properties are listed as nuisance property, and we talked about those. Those are the ones that we just monitor more so than others, just to make sure they're code compliant. And as of November 1st, I believe the city billed a total of like $29,000 for excessive inspection fees
Oh, my goodness.
for people who, you know, been cited, ordered to
Wow.
do certain things, directed to bring them into compliance and have failed to do that. And on the average, throughout the year, 3 to 4 vehicles a month, I refer to the police department that need to be towed or at least looked into the possibility of
Wow.
towing, whether the tags are expired or
Yeah.
they're inoperable. And if they're on the city street, that's their obligation.
Yeah.
On private property, I deal with it. On the street, it's theirs. So if I see something with flat tires, been there for a period of time, or somebody mentions it to me, then I just go ahead and refer it to the police. But on the average, 3, 4, maybe a month, every month.
Wow.
Different vehicles too.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. That
Sure.
29,000 you mentioned for.
Yes, excessive inspection fees.
Yeah, are most of those from that 10 that are listed as nuisance?
No.
No, it's all
yeah,
over.
no. The nuisance have come into compliance to a certain extent, but let's just say in the summer, and we use excessive growth of weeds or grass, and you send them a violation. Give them, you know, a week or so to remedy it, and they do it maybe on the 12th or the 13th day as opposed to a week. So then they do cut it, and then, you know, 2 or 3 weeks later, whatever it might be, they're back up to where they're at. And so, you know, you're back knocking on the door, leaving a card, or, you know, things like that. And that's at the simplest form of it.
Has there been any discussion of the whole naturalized lawn thing? You know, where people are letting it grow because it's a habitat?
Funny you said that, yes.
Well, I haven't heard that.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, it's real big
yes.
in some places, and some
town.
communities just absolutely
Well,
won't let
We
people
have
do
one,
it.
actually, on Cherry Street. That, you know, I go by there all the time and I really hadn't paid attention, and from the back of it, and all of a sudden I received a complaint, and it looked like a jungle back there. And, you know, you're talking about a postage stamp
Yeah, I
yard.
know. I
you
mean,
know,
that is no big
10
place.
feet, you know, it's
City
deep,
residents.
it's deep, but 10, 12 feet wide, and just overgrown. And I cited the property, and she started taking care of it, although I think most of it has become since the fall and the leaves falling, you know, things like that. But that's one of the ones that I'm monitoring almost on a daily basis. I go by there and see what progress, if any, has been done. But no, that's the only one that's.
First time I heard.
And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. There was one on, I think, yeah, in Washington Park.
But this is more purposeful there, you know, and sometimes there's special plants because of
I call it-
bees and butterflies
Yes.
and that kind of thing.
So I called the Nature Society in Yorkland to find out exactly, because they had a sign out there saying that this was a.
Natural
protected- yeah,
habitat or,
yeah.
yeah.
So the plants, the photographs that I sent them, those plants were acceptable to them, to what they do, basically, for lack of a better term. Problem is that they weren't maintaining it. You know, the grass was this high, you know, there was excessive growth of the plants, the bushes or trees, and all that, and they were overlapping both sides of the fence line and things like that. So, yes, it may be a thing that's gonna be happening, you know, but in an urban setting like this, I don't know how you can allow that.
Well, because of neighbors,
Yes.
certainly,
Yeah,
and,
city. Right.
you know, wildlife, butterflies and bees are one thing.
Yeah, but raccoons and other,
Oh,
yeah,
that's-
yeah.
other, you know, that would be my concern, and that's what, as
Yes.
soon as I saw that, you know. And again, if you have that and you maintain it, possibly, but the way, you know, they just let it grow, whatever.
Well, I don't think it's a real issue, but down on by the river, north from the Strand, you have a lot of those habitats. And, you know, they go, you know, animals, you have raccoons, you have.
Sure.
But it's.
We have a lot
it's-
of wildlife down there, yeah.
But it's not a problem as I can see.
No, it's not, but in this particular situation, as I said, yeah, it's a row home attached on both sides. Very tiny yard, you know, it's not something that's detached away
That's
from,
right,
you know,
yeah.
and you can deal with it, but it was just, when I saw it, I was like, wow.
Someone was asking me about, as you go down across the street here, there's a lot of industry down.
Mhm.
And there's a home down there?
Mhm.
What is that?
Are you talking about the?
Whose house was it? It
I
was
don't
their
know.
summer, it was their
don't know,
summer
but
house.
Yeah, it's.
No,
yeah.
no,
No,
this
no,
is,
no,
this
this
is,
is like right
this is
here.
No, I'm
closer.
talking all the way down
Yes, you
on
go,
the riverfront.
you have to go past Collins Park. You
Yeah.
go, down, I guess it's River Road, and then you come into the industrial park. At the very end of that park, I don't know.
I
what
can't think of the name of the.
the-
the
And I was
people.
there about a month or so ago, because I even.
Well, someone was asking me about it. They said, who owns that house? And I
Well,
was
I
like,
think
I
it's
don't.
on the national, yeah, as a matter of fact, I think
It's
so.
the people who own that part of the industrial
Yeah.
park or the people who
Okay.
own that business. But yeah, there was a
And I
real,
was like,
there was a real push from a couple people.
I didn't bring my phone. I have photographs of it.
Yeah,
I was there about a month or so ago.
yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like it was a beautiful home. at
Well,
one
that's what I
point,
It's
but-
like a
Understand,
Cape Cod, it's facing the water.
Yeah.
And it needs a ton of work. I mean, it's boarded and things like that.
yeah,
But people were talking about trying to rehabilitate it. They took it to the trustees.
yeah.
and they
yeah,
took it-
right. But
Yeah.
the trustees don't own that property, do they?
No,
No, so there you go.
and there, that you can't really access this
No, that's the
easily at
thing.
all. I mean, it's surrounded by private
Well, I know
property.
there used to be a walk down there that came back to the Glebe Cemetery.
That's still there,
And that's still there.
but this is,
Uh,
I've been on that
Yeah, I
walk. This
didn't,
is,
I've never made that walk back in. But yeah, it's
Wow.
beautiful views.
Oh, I can
Up the river,
imagine.
$1 million view.
Gosh,
So
with the
it's
money to
owned by
fix
this
it.
company that owns it. You know, it's a commercial property now,
and
and
I,
it's probably zoned that way.
I think when they first built back there, because it was a historic property, and correct me if I'm wrong, they actually moved it because it was where the,
That was before me.
that,
What I'll do is
I was told that it had
Well,
already
I'm
been
send you
just
the
curious
pictures of it.
because I
No,
was,
I didn't bring my phone with me.
I wasn't aware of it and I was like, I don't even know what you're
I was
talking
back there
about.
about a month and a half or so ago. And it would have been great, but you're right, now it's surrounded by,
Well, and also south of Dobbinsville, there are properties, I think. And, you know, that's all privately owned. That's not even in the city anymore, I don't think.
No, it is. You're talking about the new construction that's going on?
Yeah,
River Bend,
Riverbend,
yes.
that's in the city.
It's in the city. Yes, it is.
because they added it back.
Yes, yeah, they annexed it. It's in the city.
Okay. But
there
is
was-
that the one on the right? Is
On the
Riverbend?
right, just
Yeah.
past.
you're going
And it had started and then it stopped.
They had
and then-
approximately, I've been here 7 years, I guess for 6 of those years, 6.5.
Yeah.
There was like 4 homes back there.
Right.
They're building back there
Oh,
again?
yeah.
But it's in the marsh. I mean, it's
Oh,
pretty much.
The the
Oh, wait,
mosquitoes
you
must
should
be
get
on.
Yeah.
through it. It's amazing. Nice homes.
But
and
they-
They
there's
have
like a-
about 10 or 15.
There was like a community,
It's there, still there. They renovated it.
because I
completely.
remember being invited to
The
that.
swimming
It was
pool
a-
and everything.
Yes,
back there,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. So that's is being rehabilitated?
Yeah, I think the city's gonna do well over there, with all the fees and
Yeah, with tax.
transfer tax and taxes. That's a good,
Mhm.
be a good income, but it was basically, it said dormant. It was owned, I think, a bank in Maryland, took it back. They were holding, they had the mortgage on it, and they were just maintaining just the perimeter of it, doing nothing with it, and just sat there. Now, I felt bad for the 3 or 4 families that were living back there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember
Although they may have been happy.
whoever
they go
owned
by
it first,
themselves.
and they didn't they have financial problems and that's why?
I think the guy ended up going to jail.
Yeah, I think
A
so.
lot of, yeah, there's a lot of.
Because I remember being at a party there and I don't know why we were there. Maybe the trustees were,
Sure.
I don't know. It was like, okay.
Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah.
We didn't go, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of that.
But yes, it's up and coming and they're building as we speak.
Yeah.
We just issued a certificate of occupancy the other day on the newest one.
So exactly, where does the city property end then? It's Langolan isn't part of the city.
No,
No. Okay.
if you go, no, it stops right at that, right there. Well, I shouldn't say that because then you have the entrance to the wall. I don't know exactly where it stops and starts,
No.
but I think it goes just beyond that because there's the entrance to the wall, like, you know, right there, that parking lot, that's ours. So it makes,
So
Oh,
what?
yeah,
there's a parking lot,
where the fishing pier might be.
exactly.
Okay.
And that's city property. I think at that point, right around there, is
Yeah.
where it kind of stops. But I can get that information for you.
Well, no, I'm just curious now because I wasn't even aware of this house, so, and I've been here a long time.
Well, they're fantastic. Gem Craft, I think is Gem Craft Builders or Gem Craft Homes is the,
Well, that's good. I mean, housing is very important, so.
and they're up there, they're like 400 and plus, I think 400 and some thousand.
What, that they can build back there?
No,
No,
so
the price
close.
of- the price
Oh,
of-
Well, I think
Oh.
there's I want to say maybe 115,
Wow.
120, and that's a substantial amount.
We kept stopping you. Is there anything else?
Yeah.
No, I felt bad. I have picture, I would love to show you that house. I'll get
You
it.
know
to
where
you.
I am.
Yeah, no,
Because I really couldn't speak to it, and I said, I have no idea.
Zenith, that's it. I was trying to think of the company. that's back
Yes,
there.
yes.
Zenith Corporation. is
But
the one that-
it's been years. I used to ride my bike back there and come around, but I don't have a bike anymore.
Thank you,
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah.
So new business, I just wanted to take a step back about that emergency preparedness series. I didn't know whether any of you had heard any comments about it, any positive or negative.
No.
No,
I mean, but I-
unfortunately, we haven't had any emergencies, so, I mean. it's just-
Find some wood,
Yeah.
Let's knock
You know,
on it, yeah.
because we have had sort of a mild hurricane season and
Mhm.
anything was way down south.
Yeah,
So-
luckily. Is it appropriate for us or for me, do you think, to do a thank you note to the Weekly for doing that for us, or?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. It might remind people that we did it.
Yeah, I was just,
Well, then,
just
then
thinking
how
of
about
that
if
when
we do
you
it as a
said it.
letter to the editor?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, people noted it because as I mentioned before, I'm on the Sea Level Rise Committee and
Okay.
it's been brought up there that, you know, that committee could do something like what the Board of Health did.
Mhm.
So that felt kind of good to hear that. Any ideas for other topics that we could do an article on?
Well, I don't want to give myself a job because I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but there's a lot of discussion about these playgrounds and what's going to happen to them. And I have to admit, I don't understand this business between the trustees and the Battery Park and who's got the ball there. You know,
Well, it's theirs, right? Everybody. Battery Point.
well, it's the city.
The
The city
Battery
owns
Park
it.
is owned by
By
the
the
city. It's been being managed by
Maintained by the-
maintained by the
Yeah,
trustees.
it's definitely being maintained by the trustees, and I don't know if that's gonna continue. I did, just so you know, when they extended the Strand extension into the park there, I was very concerned because people were going over that area where there was stuff buried. There's like transformers and everything, and I asked the trust to put up sort of a landscape.
Sure.
And they did. So it's much improved now because we don't want people riding over that. And it's not clear to people still how to get on the park if they're gonna have a picnic or something. And
Well, they don't do it in their cars.
no, but they don't know where to park.
Oh,
I've had a little bit of pushback, not a lot, a little bit. Well, we have to unload this stuff for the party that the park is allowed them to have there. You know, birthday parties, it's mostly minor stuff.
right.
And so we had to get our stuff, you know, down there. And I thought, why don't you use the parking lot? You know,
Yeah, there's two
Yeah,
parking lots,
yeah.
basically
Yeah.
right on the,
and
Park.
I don't know whether this
and
is a
there's
sign.
signs.
Yeah,
Well, there are
signs.
signs for parking
parking.
lots.
But you know, they need permits for those.
Oh,
Yeah.
set
And
up
so if
stuff.
they're issuing, if someone's issuing a permit,
They should tell them.
Well,
they
now
should-
that has to be clarified for me
Yeah.
because I used to be on the Battery Park Committee by default. And I don't know what happened to that with the trustees and maybe we could clarify who's got the ball.
I know that, I mean, I've never taken any calls, but I've heard while in the office where someone would call about having a function
Yeah,
and it would
To
be
get a
referred to the trustee.
Yeah.
So if they're the ones who are handling it, it
well,
wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe, you know.
Chris
put the proper
Castagne's
notice.
gone and he was the one that was handling it and I
But they didn't meet much, did they?
Hmm?
Did they meet very often?
yeah, we used to meet regularly.
Oh, okay.
We did. That was a
Okay.
long time ago and I'm not suggesting we have more meetings, but I would like clarification
Right.
because
Yeah,
I
because you're right
don't-
there.
Huh?
You're right there
Well,
seeing it.
that's
and-
why I was on the Battery Park.
Yeah.
It was by default. But, you know, I'm still interested because I see a lot of stuff. Well, fortunately, we haven't had any problems. And once we put up that little landscaping, people recognize that they can't drive over it. Or they shouldn't. But, you know, I just think with the playground issue,
Yeah.
because I remember years ago, and I don't know that we need as the Board of Health to be involved in it, but, you know, playgrounds are healthy for kids, you know?
They're healthy for kids.
Yeah.
They can also be very hazardous for
Yes,
kids.
well, they were for a long time.
Well, they still can be.
Yeah, no, but, you know, there is this playground committee, and I'm wondering if we should, do you know, are you on that?
I am not,
Oh, I am.
No,
and I do not want to.
No,
be.
no.
I didn't realize.
Thank you
But I
very
mean,
much.
somebody is, and, yeah, I think it would be good to clarify. Because they are gonna put new equipment up there, and
Yeah.
the reason I brought it up is when Linda Ratchford was. Yeah, she was president council. We had a committee that looked at playground equipment and went, you know, looking for playground equipment that would be safer and more accessible for
Sure,
kids and
sure.
people who didn't, you know.
Mhm.
And we actually had a committee that looked at all of that, and I don't know what happened to it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't know a whole lot about what's going on with that
But
playground.
maybe,
but-
you know, because it's a healthy, you know,
But
playgrounds are.
my concern is that that's not the only playground,
Well,
in
of
town.
course, and we've heard a lot
And-
about that.
and some of them are older than what's being replaced.
Yeah. Well, there's one down on Bull Hill, and there's one out on,
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Dobbins.
There's one in
there's one
Dobbsville, there's,
Dobbsville, and there's
there's one
another
in
one.
Van Dyke,
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
and is there one around Shawtown too? Maybe not.
well, there,
Yeah, there is a,
where one of those clubs is.
on,
on-
yeah, yes, on great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in fact, yeah,
Well, there is a committee, not the city of Wilmington, within the last year replaced all the, equipment. And,
well, I think it's a
One of the
homegrown
firms.
group of people whose children would benefit from the playground, you know, there's,
the homegrown as in you mean they live here.
yeah, well, I mean, they just sprouted out of them. No, they came together as a group,
Mhm.
but I'm not involved in that,
Mhm.
you know, but somebody is.
I do know a couple people who are, I
Yeah.
think, or
Okay.
know of a couple
Yeah.
people who are. So, I mean, are you suggesting that we have them come talk to the Board of Health or?
It's not a
Just to
bad
update
idea
us.
when they're ready to do that, because I don't think they're looking for funding is what I remember reading.
And they've gotten some,
Okay.
but
And
not
I
enough
just
for
want-
$1 million. I mean, I think $1 million is outrageous, but that's just me.
Anyway, but you know, it is a safety issue. I mean, I was told one time that we don't have to concern ourselves with safety issues. I disagree with that because what else is the Board of Health for?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's okay to disagree.
The other thing I've wondered about recently, especially over the summer, was the geese.
Oh, wow.
The geese
Well,
and particularly what they leave behind. Every time I bend over to pick up
Yeah.
after my dog and see that I'm standing in goose poop,
That's,
it's
They're
very
not small.
frustrating.
well,
They're not, nobody's picking up after them.
Well,
So I did a little quick search for any research articles on health related issues,
Mhm.
and there are some. I
there
mean,
are, yeah.
they're not. It's not common, I guess is the word, but the potential is there, just like it is with dog excrement. Which is for the most part in town, I think, getting picked up.
Well, I'm
So,
always concerned about potential rabbit things.
Oh, yeah.
And we did have two years ago, what I believe was a rabid raccoon. It was around it was in the Jefferson House yard, it was in what the Henrys have now, it was in our
Oh, my
yard.
God.
And I played the devil. I had to end up paying somebody to trap that raccoon. Which,
because you couldn't get the city to.
well, I didn't know who to call.
Yeah, there was a.
Probably
time
Board of Health.
Well, the thing about it was, there is no animal control that will come
Right.
out
Yeah.
and look at that.
And there was a time when the
Well,
city did.
Yeah.
trap it, so
And
it's
I
like-
only bring it up because, it is a hazard. A rabid animal is a hazard.
Yes,
And
it's a
um,
health issue.
it's a health, definitely a health issue, and I ended up getting Vermin LLC to come out and trap that raccoon, and it wasn't easy.
No, I bet it wasn't.
They actually put the traps in my yard, which was fine. I didn't want it in my yard, so we trap it. But, I was just surprised. I couldn't get anybody who I thought might be, responsible for this, animal control. No, they don't want to come out.
Well, there's a big fee for the animal.
I don't
I
know.
know
I'm
you
just
maybe-
asking a question
Yeah.
really about who do you call?
Well, maybe in the spring, when the animals start really
Yeah.
coming out again,
Yeah,
an article about how to recognize a rabid animal.
yeah,
Might not be a
yeah.
Great.
I mean, because the
a bad
the
thing.
critter was definitely there in the daytime, definitely in our trees. And then it went over to the Jefferson House and, it was around.
During the
daytime.
day, it's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that was a while back now. And I don't think it's a real problem from a animal control issue, but I don't know where that raccoon came from.
Keep thinking about that, because
Yeah.
Well,
I,
it speaks to the geese because they're
Yeah.
apparently, when I was on Battery Park Committee, we did have the goose chasers, right? The geese chasers come out
yes,
and the trustees paid for that.
it was about $1,000 a
Oh,
month.
yeah.
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know
right.
that.
Yeah, it was not
It wasn't cheap at all.
cheap. And they would come and then they, and what I learned, because I was right there, was there's two separate species of geese. There's the geese that live in the marsh and are there year round,
The resident geese.
the resident geese.
They're called resident geese,
And then
and
there are the ones that are migrant. And they also use our park. Oh, maybe they should be charged for that, but no, I'm kidding. And I don't know the difference, I have to admit, I really don't.
apparently you can tell by looking at them, but
Well,
they all look alike to me.
I'm.
Well, they
whatever.
got rid of some, or they just, they cleaned them out each month and
Well-
then they just came back?
Fortunately, they haven't ever come in our yard, and I think it's
Okay.
because we used to have dogs. And
Okay.
they have the fences there, but we've never really had a problem.
How long ago was this?
Yeah,
When they had.
when
the
they did it.
geese chasers?
Oh.
Oh, it's been in the last year or so.
Oh, okay, recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they stopped for a while because they weren't coming, or I forget
Well,
why.
I used to
but-
be given the responsibility of calling them. Because I was on the Battery Park Committee, and when I saw the geese starting to gather,
Yeah.
I had a phone number to call for the geese chasers. Now, sometimes I wasn't there, so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, my understanding was they are supposed to come at all different times of the day and, in different places, because the geese are just gonna move, if they chase them off Battery Park, they're gonna go out to William Penn, or they're gonna go
Yeah.
down to Bull Hill or wherever. So it kind of has to be a real coordinated approach. My concern is there were a lot of geese last year.
yeah,
And
and
a lot
then,
of goose poop, and every year they come back and they breed.
oh, and it's a danger to walk
Yeah,
on the
they're mean.
park.
Yeah.
I mean, on the walkway when they're
Yeah.
there, it's slippery and everything else.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, chase you.
yeah, I know, chase you.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know whether this is how to approach it actually. Because I'm still asking the question, who's in charge?
Yeah, it seems to.
I think you know one
nobody
of them.
Really know the answer to that.
Yeah, there's no,
Huh? Yeah, yeah.
and there's no Canadian snow geese down there, are there?
I have seen them.
Oh, have you?
I
Okay.
have seen them in the
Coming from
marsh,
Canada now.
I haven't seen them on Battery Park.
but not on the park.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody complains about snakes anymore. There are too many people and snakes don't like to be that visible. So every once in a while we get a black snake, but
Yeah. We had said when we did those articles that we were gonna post the resources that we used on the city website. That has not been done yet. I do, and partly because I had the list and my computer died. But it's up and running again, and that list was not lost. I'm actually meeting with Alice Reel tomorrow, who is the chair of the Sea Level Rise Committee,
good. Yeah.
because they have some things they think they want to put on the website too. So we thought, why not do it all at once?
Is that on the
that would
city
be
website?
good.
On the city website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who's in charge of that either.
Yeah, how many are on this?
Well, that's part of the problem, I guess, is that it's just an extra job for
Oh.
somebody on the city, so I don't know, but I do know that when I went on probably a year ago or a little less, there actually is information or a place for information about what to do in emergencies and all, but most of the links were not functioning anymore. But what we did and the resources we used would replace those. So, so after I talk to Alice tomorrow, I will chat again with Kim and see if we can get some of those up there, and that'll finish off what we had talked about
I'm
doing with
gonna
that.
be here on Thursday, but then we're going to lunch.
Yeah, if you think of it, just mention it. I think it's probably Kim who gets the job
Oh,
of putting
yeah.
it on there.
Oh, I'm
So I'm
sorry.
hoping that she can just take what I give her electronically and put it on there, so it's not having to retype stuff in, but I don't know how
I
the
can't speak for her. but
system works.
I've heard her say, just get it to me and I'll get it on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
She's, God bless her.
and
Yeah.
municipal services still has their newsletter, don't they?
yes.
Yes,
I haven't opened the recent bill.
Yes.
That's a good.
but that, she generates that.
Oh,
Yeah,
does
she does that
She
too.
generates that,
Oh,
then prints
really?
it
Mhm.
and
Oh, I
and
didn't know
delivers
that.
it. At times if I'm available, if I'm around, I certainly go out of my way to carry it. Tons of those letters. But yeah, she's the one who's responsible for that.
Oh, my-
Right, because I've put some things in there before for another committee that I'm on, and yeah, it's
So when it comes
Kim.
to- she's amazing. She's good.
Wow,
Always.
that'd be very nice.
perfect.
Yes. So if you will, just keep thinking about proposals for other
I'm just
topics.
brainstorming right now. like,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. I think we had mentioned before, and I have that list from before, things like Lyme ticks
Yeah.
and, staying away from
Yeah.
ticks.
One thing
Not
I-
this time of year, but
I would like to see, and this is just my personal thing, is that we have a lot of new people in town. Everywhere, on every street,
Mhm.
and I'm starting to be out more, so I'm aware of them. And maybe we need to have some, hate to say this, but new blood on our committee, and I don't know. I got asked to be to re-up by the mayor.
and we're glad you're here.
But, yes.
Well, you're a font of information about
That's right.
what's going
What's
on.
going
in
on
it.
and what has.
Down by the wharf, I know.
Well, and in the past, on the Board of Health
Yeah.
too,
Well, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Never saw myself in this role, but that's okay. I'm happy to do that, but I'm suggesting that maybe we try and get some fresh new people.
Yeah, my neighbor, one house over, Claire and Ricky moved from Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
He works for FMC, I think in New York.
Yeah.
Biology and biology, anyway, scientist.
Well,
And she's coming with me tomorrow for the wreath. I gotta break her in a little
later in the
bit.
day. if
Yeah,
you're
it
still
starts
there.
at 12, and she said, I'd like to go. She's a teacher, but I think she's really working
well, that's
full-time
what we
yet.
need. I mean,
And I
we
wanna-
need to
yeah.
also,
She's renting the house, but I think they're really interested in looking for property in town, so I'm hoping. if
there
I
are
bring-
so many, if you go to the Mercury, you're gonna meet so many new people.
Oh, yeah. we was
Because
just-
everybody goes. to
Yeah, Katie and I were just there.
And there's just so many new people in town, and that seems to
Yeah, we
draw
have to
them.
recruit them.
Well,
Yeah.
don't just live
Well, we
here,
have an empty spot right now unless the mayor has
participate.
filled
I mean,
it
I
and-
can't think off the top of my head right now, but I will give it some thought if you think that we could do that, because isn't the board by code supposed to have so many people on it? I don't know. I don't.
I
remember
think
that.
it says 5, but,
Oh, okay.
well, that's why I asked you guys if you were coming today, because
Oh,
I
yeah,
knew we
sure.
would have to
We had
deal
at
with,
least 3.
with,
Yeah.
with, not having a quorum if one
But
of
I
you
think
wasn't.
more voices and more ideas is always
Yes.
good.
Well, I've been happy that a few of our meetings, we've had some public members.
Well, that's
here.
what, I
Yeah.
don't know where
I know.
David Bechtel is. Maybe he didn't get the message because, he's a physician and I was, not sure
What
about.
about him?
Yeah. He's my neighbor.
I asked Kim and her suggestion was, if you know of anybody, you need to maybe put their name into the ear of the mayor. 'cause
I
guess-
did that. I
You did,
did
yeah.
that.
Okay.
I got renominated because I said to Mike, are you sure I'm going to retire? Not really retire, but I'm not going to have a license after this next year. And I thought it had to be a licensed position. He didn't seem to think that was necessary, but I said, okay, but I do have somebody in mind. And, it doesn't have to be licensed here in Delaware. I think David's practices in
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be great. That would be great.
That's why I want to get her out clear.
Yeah, no, I
Meet some
think
people and
we
maybe she'll.
have people who have no idea what goes
Yeah,
on in
I
town.
know.
I mean, because they've never participated.
Right.
Maybe I'll reach out to Mike and mention David's name too. You think he'd be open to doing that?
He's been here
Yeah.
to several meetings. And I actually told him, I said, if they decide that you have to have a license, you'd be a good candidate.
He didn't run screaming.
No.
Okay.
He actually.
Bless
That's
his
a good
heart.
sign.
He didn't come back.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he was aware of this.
No, it's-
He didn't come back.
Yeah.
I don't think he was aware of this. I know they're getting involved in other things. I've seen him, the Reed House is starting to gear up for stuff and, you know. It's all good.
Well, thank you for that. General discussion, I think we've been having. No, I think that's good. I'm glad. And clearly there are no public comments unless Kathy. So, I would entertain a motion to adjourn
So moved.
Second.
unless there's anything else. Well, we've now adjourned, so thank you very much.
Now all I have to do is find my.
I'm gonna
Found
have
my
you
what?
recruit new blood.
Well, let's see if